So first of all, I'd like to welcome you all and thank you all for coming here. We have representatives from different diplomatic missions, the Japan mission, the Indian mission. Am I missing anybody else? Kazakhstan. We have journalists from all around the world. So I welcome you all to the city of Jerusalem, to the Jerusalem municipality, where you can see our beautiful model of the city, which we use every day in order to plan ahead. And we're here actually talking about a very, very serious subject that affects my city every single day, as well as the rest of Israel and the different territories. A few days ago, UNRWA's mandate was renewed in the UN for another 3 years. And just to give you a little background of what's going on here in our city, 37% of the population is Arab communities here in Jerusalem. And unfortunately, the majority of the curriculum in the schools in the Arab communities in Jerusalem are curriculum that have been created by the Palestinian Authority. This curriculum is problematic in many, many ways, and we have here two different experts. My colleague on the left, David Bedin, who's the director of the Center for Near East Policy, and my colleague on the right, Dr. Gross, who's become an expert on school books. And they will talk a little bit more in detail. But I want to give you my perspective for my city. So 37% of my city is our community. These are my constituents. 110,000 students, pupils in this school system. The majority, 93% of them, including the UNRWA schools, which are 3 schools in the city, almost 2,000 children, are teaching the Palestinian Authority curriculum. Now, you will hear about incitement and glorification of martyrdom, which is extremely serious and important that we eradicate. But I want to, for a second, talk about one more thing. And that is the fact that the current curriculum of the PA, including UNRWA, because the UNRWA curriculum is basically the PA curriculum, is a barrier to opportunity for all the Arabs living in my city. Those 110,000 children are not taught Hebrew and are taught very, very poor, if no English, which means that when they get to 18 years old, those children cannot integrate in the workforce in Jerusalem. They are institutionalizing poverty, and the net result is that 80% of the Arab communities in our city live under the poverty line. Now, I'm not saying that there's lots of things that we here in City Hall are having to do, and we're doing it. We're closing the gap with infrastructure, we're closing the gap with employment, but we're working with our hands tied behind our back, because everything starts from education. And if these children are taught to hate, are taught not to live in a shared society, which is where we need to get to at the end of the day, if these kids are not given a little bit of hope that we can actually live in the same place, they're not going anywhere, we're not going anywhere. Why is UNRWA teaching them the same curriculum of hate and of lack of opportunity that the PA is teaching? Why is UNRWA blindly following the PA curriculum that teaches hatred, glorification of martyrdom, and doesn't give them any opportunity for integration or social mobility or economic development? That is what's going on at the moment in my city, in East Jerusalem. Now, 54% of the budget given to UNRWA is for education. And we are very reasonable people here, and you'll be hearing from my colleagues in a second. We're not saying shut the whole thing down, because we understand the difficulty with that. What we're saying is, if they do have a renewed mandate, and if they are going to be getting funding from many of the countries, some of them represented here today, that funding that goes into education should be put aside, 54% should be put aside in escrow until they have their own curriculum, which is based on opportunity for a shared society and reconciliation and coexistence. If you want to have...
And so on and so on, so many questions that the whole issue will be put or will be enter the students' mind, so they will be very well aware of the whole thing. Now, part and parcel of the liberation struggle is Islam, or the religion. The Al-Aqsa Mosque should be liberated. Jihad and martyrdom are integral part of the struggle. And there is a new theme in the new books. This is a book of 2017. This is a poem. And in this poem, one can find a hint about what to do, what should be done with the Jews, 6 million Jews in this country, after the liberation of Palestine. And I'll read it to you in Arabic. قسما سأضحي بدمائي لأروي أرض الكرماء وأزيل الغصب من بلدي وأبيد فلول الغرباء. I swear I shall sacrifice my blood to water the land of the noble ones, and I shall remove the usurper from my country. Usurper is a code name for Israel, by the way. And I shall remove the usurper from my country, and I shall exterminate the defeated remnants of the foreigners. Now, this is the school book. Looking into the teacher guide, I found out that children sing that in class. It has a melody. And I got on the internet 3 or 4 cases of students singing it either in class or in the open with toy weapons and so on. So this is part and parcel of the liberation struggle. I think this is enough for the time being in order to understand what's going on in the school books and the teacher's guide. And teacher's guides actually reveal to us the way this indoctrination is actually carried out by the Palestinian education system. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gross. We know that the mandate for UNRWA has been renewed, but the funds to UNRWA has not yet been allocated or raised. And so this is really not too late. There's an opportunity here to take what is done by the donor countries to UNRWA schools and try and change the reality for these children as well as for the whole region. We can do this, and the donor countries can ask for this to be done by putting the money, the 54% of all the funds that go to UNRWA, putting it in escrow on condition that the curriculum is changed to a curriculum of hope and real education. We have the following conditions that we are asking for the donor countries, for the renewal of the mandate when they give the moment to donate to UNRWA. So first of all, to cancel the UNRWA curriculum, which, as you have heard and as you can see, and we're happy for you to take any books you'd like with you, is based on jihad, martyrdom, and the right of return by force of arms, and replace it with the Israeli secular standard curriculum, which many Arabs, hundreds and thousands of Arabs in this country, it is not a Zionist curriculum. It is a curriculum that takes out the incitement and adds in Hebrew. In East Jerusalem, Hebrew would be added in as a much needed second language or even a third language. At the moment, it doesn't appear at all. And this has oversight by the Israeli Ministry of Education. The second condition, to cease the paramilitary training in all UNRWA schools, which is very sad, but happens. From a very young age, these kids are taught that hatred is the only way forward and they have to become soldiers in this war. It is an absurdity that UNRWA, a UN agency with a commitment to peace education, is indirectly and directly funding this type of training. Remember, we have here even the values of the UN of resettling refugees. This goes exactly against all those values by returning to the idea of the right of return and not letting these kids settle and be settled where they should be. And thirdly, and this is very important in light of all the corruption that has been discovered in the last few months, we call on an audit of all donor funds given to UNRWA. This would address the widespread documented reports of wasted resources, of duplication of services, and much, much worse, the flow of cash to the terror groups that have controlled and have taken control of UNRWA operations, particularly in Gaza, where Hamas have taken over all UNRWA operations, and they're the people working. These are very reasonable conditions. We do not want to change anybody's culture. We simply want kids to be able to see a future together in a shared society. It's particularly painful for me that these children in Jerusalem, in the Arab communities of Jerusalem, who live and work together in our city, in City Hall, we have thousands of East Jerusalem, of Arab Jerusalem employees here. We need to give these kids a better future. The curriculum as it exists today is a barrier to opportunity and entrenches institutionalized poverty. There's no need for this, and you, the donor countries, can change this reality to a much brighter reality, because ultimately we all want peace and coexistence, not just in Israel, but in the entire region.